Colonization by Portuguese in Malacca from year 1511 to 1641. Portuguese Malacca was the territory of Malacca that for 130 years was a Portuguese colony. Malacca was a remarkable trading center for the trade and shunting of spices due to its strategic position in the strait. Thus, the wealth attracted the attention of Manuel I, King of Portugal, and he sent Diogo Lopes Sequeira to make trade compact. He was well received by Sultan Mahmud Shah, but nevertheless, the feeling of rivalry between Islam and Christianity was invoked by a group of Goa Muslims in Sultan's court after Portuguese captured Goa. During the year 1509, a Portuguese expedition sailed to Malacca. However, a lot of them was captured and imprisoned by the Sultan. Alfonso de Albuquerque, who heard this news, was furious and arranged 14 ships carrying 1,200 men and sailed to Malacca with the objective to save the captured and conquer Malacca. However, the request to release the prisoners and to build a fortress as a Portuguese trading post near the city was denied by Sultan Mahmud Shah. At the dawn of 25th June year 1511, Portugal attacked Malacca along with 20,000 men armed with 2,000 guns. The fight took place at the bridge of the river, dividing the town into two. They succeeded in rescuing the captured, however, they were forced to retreat. Portugal returned to Malacca, with assistance of Chinese junks offered by Chinese merchants. The junks were used as a bridgehead. This time, the attack was successful and the Portuguese finally succeeded in establishing a bridgehead in the town. Several days of siege happened before the next attack, which was held on the 24th August year 1511. During that time, Portuguese attacked the town and succeeded forcing the Sultan to abandon Malacca. The Portuguese sacked down the town, but following Albuquerque's order, they respected the property of those who sided with them. Conquering Malacca gave Portugal the control over the main Asiatic trade routes. Portugal's policy on the Malay Peninsula was either to establish alliances with local rulers or to convince adjoining kingdoms to accept Portuguese suzerainty. Many Portuguese merchants and farmers settled in Malacca. Shortly thereafter, Albuquerque prepared the ships for the return with the bounty of Malacca. However, his ship sank during a storm and all the treasures fetched from Malacca were lost. Albuquerque established a new administration, minted a new currency, and built a wooden chapel close to the fortress. Dutch East India Company began contesting Portuguese power in the east. They started by launching small incursions and skirmishes against the Portuguese. Their first serious attempt was the siege of Malacca in year 1606. Around that time, the Sultanate of Aceh grew in regional power and considered Portuguese Malacca as a potential threat. Finally, on January year 1641, Dutch and their local allies assaulted Malacca from the Portuguese and won the battle. Reasons that led to the fall of the Malacca Sultanate. First, let us take a look at the internal economic, political, and social factors. Weak ruling of the government is the root cause to the decline of the Malacca Sultanate. Malacca also depended on Tun Perak, who held the position of bendahara for almost 50 years. With poor leaders, it will result in poor economic policies and discontent among the people. This makes a civilization susceptible to external threats, which is the invasions by the Portuguese. Military weaknesses. Malaccan army had not fought a major war for a long time. Next, Malaccan army was made up of mercenaries which are Javanese armies hired by government of Malacca which abandoned the state during the attack since they were not willing to die for a country that was not theirs. Colony states failed to back up Malacca. Instead, they freed themselves from Malacca's reign. Over-dependence on foreigners. Foreign merchants who came to Malacca did not believe loyalty to government of Malacca, and some even backed Portuguese during the attack. Chinese merchants provided on loan 5 huge barges to Portuguese. Next, Tamil merchants, also known as Ninchatus, supplied information on Malacca's defense system. Decline in trading activities. With political instability and poor economic policies, merchants are forced to shift to Aceh, the other trading center in the region. Hostility among races. Tun Mutahir, who was a Tamil Muslim, practiced favoritism and reserved important administration positions for relatives. Next, the dissatisfactions among Malay Muslims and Tamil Muslims has caused a racial tension in Malacca. External factors. Military might. The Portuguese soldiers were better equipped than Malacca counterparts. They possessed advanced weapons such as guns and cannons, unlike the Malacca army which used medieval weapons such as kris, swords, spears, and lances. Next, Portuguese armies were more disciplined and experienced. They were led by a capable and experienced leader, also known as Alfonso de Albuquerque. They also had high morale. Furthermore, Portugal's desire for the expansion of their kingdoms is one of the reasons they colonized Malacca. The discovery of Cape of Good Hope, also known as Tanjung Harapan. It was discovered by Bartholomew Dias, which allowed the Portuguese to sail to the east. This caused a trade rivalry. The Portuguese were able to monopolize trading of spices by diversion of trade away from the Muslims. This led to the downfall of Malacca, as its prosperity depended greatly on foreign trade. This also facilitated Portugal's launching of their attack on Malacca, since they were able to send their armies via the sea route. Portugal's attempt to spread Christian gospel and reduce influence of Islam in the East. Malacca was recognized as a center where Islam thrived. Thus, if the Portuguese did succeed in conquering Malacca, it would mean that the spread of Islam would be halted through the preaching of the gospel. This would tear apart the social fabric of Malacca, as people no longer held on to their faiths and lose support for the government.
Impacts of Portuguese colonization of Malacca. The attack of Portuguese towards Malacca was led by Albuquerque. He successfully colonized Malacca and causing the fall of Malacca Kingdom. Therefore, Malacca was no longer played a role as the Islamic center of Southeast Asia. After all, the new Malay kingdoms established. How they established? The people were forced to leave the area and escaped to places which were safer to protect themselves. Johor and Perak were formed. There were interracial marriages between Portuguese and the local Malacca people. This is why there is mixed blood in this country. This had created a new society called the Serrani. They have the cultures of both Portuguese and Malacca. They even adopted their way of living, which was very different from the local people. The Portuguese had taken this opportunity to spread Christianity. This is one of the reasons why Malaysia has many different races. The major Christian denominations in Malaysia include Anglicans, Baptists, Brethren, non-denominational, non-deno churches, independent charismatic churches, Lutherans, Methodists, Presbyterian, and Roman Catholics. These are few examples of churches currently in Malacca: Christ Church, St. Peter's Church, and St. Paul's Church. Malay language has adopted Portuguese words. The examples are below. The Portuguese introduced Roman writing in Malacca. Trading activities in Malacca dwindled due to the colonization. Most of the Muslim merchants opted to go to Aceh. And finally, Portuguese introduced the joget and a popular song entitled Jingling Nona.